The moment you chose silence, something powerful began shifting behind the scenes, something your eyes could not see yet but your intuition may have already felt. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now. Especially if staying quiet was not easy for you, especially if there were words you almost said, emotions you almost revealed, reactions you almost expressed, but something inside you told you to pause, to breathe, to trust the process instead of forcing the outcome. Don't scroll, listen to this, because silence in a soulmate connection is rarely empty, it is often sacred space where emotional truth begins reorganizing itself. When you chose peace over reaction, when you chose patience over pressure, when you chose dignity over urgency, the energy between you began transforming in ways neither of you fully understood at first. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now, because sometimes silence is not distance, sometimes silence is communication on a deeper level. It shows emotional maturity. It shows self-respect. It shows that your heart is no longer willing to chase clarity that must come naturally. Listen to this, because soulmate connections often shift dramatically when one person stops trying to control what the universe is already aligning. You may have felt uncomfortable at first, unsure if silence would create distance or understanding, unsure if stepping back would weaken the connection or strengthen it. But don't scroll, listen to this, because what you did may have allowed space for realization that could not have happened while emotions were reacting impulsively. Silence often allows reflection. Reflection often creates awareness. Awareness often creates unexpected action. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now, because something about your stillness may have caused your soulmate to finally feel the absence of your energy in a way that made them recognize its importance. Sometimes presence is only fully appreciated when it is no longer constant. Sometimes emotional value becomes clearer when silence replaces conversation. Listen to this, because the universe often sends subtle signs when emotional shifts are unfolding. You may have noticed unusual timing patterns, meaningful coincidences, or intuitive nudges guiding your attention back toward this connection, perhaps seeing the same sequence on the clock repeatedly like 12:12 or 10:10 when your thoughts drift toward them. Perhaps hearing a message in a song lyric that feels strangely specific. Perhaps feeling an emotional memory resurface unexpectedly, reminding you that the connection still carries significance. These moments are often interpreted as intuitive signals that something meaningful is moving beneath the surface. Don't scroll, listen to this, because soulmate connections rarely dissolve simply because communication pauses. Real connection evolves quietly. Emotional understanding continues developing even when nothing obvious is happening externally. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now, because your silence may have communicated strength rather than distance. It may have shown emotional stability rather than emotional withdrawal. It may have demonstrated that your heart is no longer willing to abandon its peace in order to maintain attention. Listen to this, because something about your quiet confidence may now be encouraging your soulmate to see the connection differently. When emotional pressure disappears, clarity often appears. When urgency fades, intention becomes visible. When chasing stops, mutual effort often begins. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what surprises many people is that soulmate connections often strengthen when both individuals are allowed space to recognize their feelings without influence or expectation. Growth happens privately. Realizations develop gradually. Understanding becomes clearer when silence removes emotional noise. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now, because the connection you feel may not be ending, it may be transforming. Something about your decision to remain calm may have changed the emotional dynamic in a way that encourages honesty to emerge naturally rather than forcefully. Listen to this, because the universe often allows emotional pauses when something meaningful is preparing to move forward differently than before. Sometimes the most important actions happen when no one is speaking. Sometimes the most powerful realizations happen when everything becomes quiet enough to finally hear what the heart has been trying to understand all along. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what is unfolding now may be the beginning of unexpected movement, unexpected communication, unexpected clarity that feels more aligned than anything that could have been forced earlier. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Because your silence may not have pushed your soulmate away, it may have given them the emotional space needed to recognize what your presence truly means. Listen to this, because when two souls share a connection that carries depth, silence often becomes the moment where everything begins changing quietly. Something about this bond may now be guiding both of you toward understanding that could not have developed if everything had continued the same way. Don't scroll. Listen to this, because the unexpected often arrives when emotional timing finally aligns with emotional readiness. And what is about to happen next may reveal why your silence was never meant to create distance, but to create clarity strong enough to move this connection in a direction that finally makes sense. Something about your quiet strength created a shift they could not ignore, even if they tried to distract themselves. Even if they tried to convince themselves that nothing had changed, even if they tried to move forward as if your silence did not carry meaning. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now. Especially if you felt uncertain about stepping back, uncertain about choosing peace instead of reaction, uncertain about whether silence would create clarity or create distance. But don't scroll, listen to this. Because sometimes silence speaks in a language the soul understands more clearly than words ever could. When you stopped explaining, stopped repeating yourself, stopped offering emotional energy that was not being fully understood, something inside your soulmate began noticing the difference. Absence can create awareness. Stillness can create reflection. Distance can create realization that presence once provided comfort that is now being deeply missed. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now. Because soulmate connections often activate emotional awakening when one person stops forcing the connection to move faster than it is ready to move. You allowed space for truth to reveal itself naturally. You allowed the connection to breathe without pressure. You allowed emotions to settle into clarity rather than confusion. Listen to this, because something within your soulmate may now be processing feelings they once avoided confronting. Silence often removes distraction. Without distraction, emotions become more visible. Without constant communication, memories become louder. Moments once taken for granted begin feeling meaningful. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what feels quiet on the surface may be deeply active beneath the surface. Thoughts returning unexpectedly. Conversations replaying in their mind. Emotional realizations appearing when they least expect it. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now. Because the universe often allows emotional pauses when both individuals are being guided toward deeper understanding. Sometimes clarity arrives not through conversation but through reflection that happens privately. Reflection reveals emotional truth that cannot be denied once fully understood. Listen to this, because you may begin noticing subtle energetic signs that something is shifting, sensing their presence in your thoughts at unexpected moments. Feeling emotional calm where there was once anxiety, experiencing intuitive nudges that feel like reassurance rather than doubt. Some interpret these moments as intuitive signals that emotional alignment is quietly developing. Don't scroll, listen to this, because soulmate connections rarely disappear without leaving emotional awareness behind. When two people share a bond that carries depth, something within both souls continues searching for understanding even when communication pauses. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because your silence may have created emotional space where your soulmate is beginning to recognize the value of what felt familiar before. Familiarity often feels ordinary until it is no longer constant. Emotional presence often feels natural until it is no longer easily accessible. Listen to this, because when someone feels the shift in emotional energy, they often begin asking themselves questions they once ignored. Why does the silence feel different? Why does the connection still feel present even without conversation? Why does something feel unfinished rather than complete? Don't scroll, listen to this, because these questions often lead to realizations that create movement. Movement does not always happen loudly. Sometimes it begins as intention. Sometimes it begins as curiosity. Sometimes it begins as the simple recognition that something meaningful should not be left unresolved. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often strengthen when both individuals are allowed the opportunity to understand the connection independently. Independent realization creates stronger intention than external pressure ever could. Listen to this, because something within your soulmate may now be acknowledging emotional truth they were not ready to see before. Growth often changes perspective. Perspective often changes behavior. Behavior often reveals intention that was previously unclear. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what feels uncertain now may soon feel more understandable than you expected. Emotional clarity often arrives when both individuals recognize what the connection means without needing it to be explained repeatedly. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because your decision to remain grounded may have shown your soulmate that this connection is not based on temporary emotion. It is based on something more stable than reaction. Listen to this, because sometimes silence invites honesty that conversation cannot create. Without pressure, truth often becomes easier to express. Without urgency, intention becomes easier to recognize. Don't scroll, listen to this, because something unexpected may already be forming, an impulse to reach out, a desire to understand, a realization that something meaningful should not remain unresolved. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often evolve through moments where emotional awareness becomes stronger than hesitation. When awareness becomes clear, action often follows naturally. Listen to this, because what is unfolding now may be guiding both of you toward communication that feels more honest, more intentional, more aligned than before. And what happens next may reveal that your silence did not create distance. It created the clarity necessary for something real to finally begin moving forward. There is a moment in every deep connection when silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling meaningful, when distance stops feeling like separation and starts feeling like preparation, and right now something within this connection is reaching that exact turning point. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now. Especially if you have recently felt a strange emotional calm, almost as if your spirit already knows something is shifting even though nothing has fully happened yet. Don't scroll, listen to this, because soulmate connections often move through phases where nothing appears to change on the outside while everything begins changing on the inside. Your silence did not go unnoticed. It created an emotional mirror, a space where your soulmate could finally see the connection without distraction, without ego, without the noise of constant reaction. Sometimes when words stop, truth becomes louder. Sometimes when presence pulls back slightly, value becomes clearer. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because the energy between two people who share a meaningful bond does not simply disappear. It transforms. It shifts. It reorganizes itself in ways that allow deeper understanding to emerge. Listen to this, because something within your soulmate may now be recognizing the emotional safety your presence once provided, recognizing the sincerity in your communication, recognizing the stability that may not have been fully appreciated before. Don't scroll, listen to this, because awareness often arrives quietly. It doesn't always appear as sudden dramatic realization. Sometimes it grows slowly through reflection, through memories returning unexpectedly, through the subtle realization that something meaningful feels incomplete without mutual understanding. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often activate emotional growth when both individuals are given the opportunity to observe the connection without pressure. Pressure can create resistance, but space often creates curiosity. Curiosity often leads to reflection. Reflection often leads to clarity that inspires action. Listen to this, because you may begin sensing emotional shifts that feel difficult to logically explain, feeling their energy cross your mind at unexpected moments, noticing small reminders appearing throughout your day, feeling intuitive nudges that suggest something is changing even if communication has not yet resumed. Some people interpret these experiences as intuitive signals that emotional alignment is quietly forming again. Don't scroll, listen to this, because when emotional awareness begins developing, the connection often feels present even in silence. Silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes silence is where emotional truth prepares itself. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because your choice to remain calm may have changed the emotional rhythm between you. When emotional reactions pause, emotional understanding often begins. When urgency fades, intention becomes easier to recognize. Listen to this, because something within your soulmate may now be acknowledging feelings they once tried to rationalize or postpone. Emotional growth often brings clarity that cannot be ignored once it becomes visible. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what feels still on the surface may be creating movement beneath the surface. Thoughts becoming clearer. Priorities becoming more defined. Emotional value becoming more recognized. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often strengthen when both individuals reach a point where honesty feels easier than avoidance. Avoidance requires effort. Honesty often creates relief. Relief often encourages communication that feels more genuine than before. Listen to this. Because something about your silence may have shown your soulmate that the connection cannot be taken for granted. Emotional consistency often becomes more visible when it is no longer constantly present. Appreciation often develops when something meaningful feels less accessible. Don't scroll, listen to this, because unexpected action often begins with quiet realization. Realization often begins with the simple understanding that something important should not remain unresolved. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because emotional clarity often appears when both individuals recognize the significance of the bond independently. Independent recognition creates stronger intention than external pressure ever could. Listen to this, because what is unfolding now may be guiding both of you toward a moment where communication feels more sincere, more balanced, more aligned with mutual understanding. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because sometimes the universe allows silence not to create endings, but to create perspective strong enough to allow a new beginning to form naturally. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because something unexpected may be closer than it appears, something that reveals why the connection has remained present in your awareness even without constant communication. Listen to this, because soulmate connections rarely disappear without transformation. They evolve until both individuals are ready to understand what the connection truly means. And what is beginning to unfold now may finally show why your silence was not the end of the story. It was the moment the story quietly began changing direction. Right now, something subtle but powerful is unfolding beneath the surface, like a quiet emotional realization is beginning to rise in your soulmate's heart, something they can no longer ignore, something they can no longer pretend not to feel. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you have been feeling that strange sense of anticipation, like something is about to shift even though nothing obvious has happened yet. Don't scroll. Listen to this, because soulmate connections often reach moments where silence stops being comfortable for the other person, where distance stops feeling safe, where the absence of your emotional presence begins to feel heavier than they expected. Sometimes people only understand the depth of a connection when they are given enough space to feel what life is like without it. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now. Because your silence created a mirror that reflects truth more clearly than constant communication ever could. When you stopped explaining, stopped repeating your feelings, stopped trying to make everything understood immediately, something changed in the emotional balance between you. Listen to this, because the universe often works quietly when two souls are meant to reach a moment of deeper awareness. What feels like stillness on the outside may actually be a period of intense emotional processing on the inside. Your soulmate may now be noticing the absence of your reassurance, the absence of your effort, the absence of the emotional comfort that once felt natural between you. Don't scroll, listen to this, because absence can reveal importance in ways presence sometimes cannot. Familiarity often feels ordinary until it is no longer constant. Emotional support often feels subtle until it is no longer easily available. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now, because something about this silence may now be encouraging your soulmate to ask questions they were not ready to ask before. Questions about what the connection truly means. Questions about why your presence felt different from others. Questions about why something still feels unfinished rather than complete. Listen to this. Because emotional realization rarely arrives all at once. It develops gradually, through reflection, through memory, through moments where someone unexpectedly recognizes the value of something they once assumed would always be there. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what surprises many people about soulmate connections is that emotional awareness often becomes strongest when communication pauses long enough for both individuals to observe the connection from a new perspective. Perspective creates understanding. Understanding creates intention. Intention often creates action that feels more sincere than anything that could be forced earlier. This message is for you, your heart needs this right now, because the connection you feel has not been forgotten, it has been reconsidered. Something within your soulmate may now be recognizing that emotional bonds built on sincerity do not disappear simply because silence appears. Instead, silence often creates space where the truth becomes more visible. Listen to this, because you may begin noticing intuitive signs that feel meaningful, a feeling that their energy is becoming more present in your thoughts again, moments where memories appear unexpectedly, subtle emotional shifts that feel like reassurance instead of doubt. Some people interpret these experiences as signals that emotional alignment is quietly forming again. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because soulmate connections rarely end without transformation. Transformation often begins when both individuals reach a point where avoidance feels more uncomfortable than honesty. Avoidance requires distance. Honesty creates relief. Relief creates movement toward clarity. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because something about this silence may now be encouraging your soulmate to see the connection through a lens of appreciation rather than assumption. Appreciation often appears when something meaningful feels uncertain. Uncertainty often reveals what truly matters. Listen to this, because emotional growth often changes how someone understands the past. Moments that once felt ordinary begin feeling significant. Conversations that once felt simple begin feeling meaningful. The connection begins feeling more valuable than it once seemed. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because unexpected action often begins with quiet realization that something should not remain unresolved. This realization often appears when someone understands that emotional clarity is more important than emotional avoidance. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often evolve when both individuals are guided toward recognizing what the connection truly represents beyond temporary circumstances. Listen to this. Because what is unfolding now may be guiding your soulmate toward communication that feels more honest, more intentional, more emotionally aware than before. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the unexpected does not always arrive dramatically, sometimes it arrives gently, naturally, in a way that feels aligned rather than forced. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Because something meaningful may already be moving closer to the surface, something that reveals why this connection has remained present in both hearts even during silence. Listen to this, because when emotional truth becomes clear, hesitation often begins dissolving. When hesitation dissolves, courage often appears. And when courage appears, unexpected action often follows in a way that finally brings clarity to everything that once felt uncertain. What is happening now is not random, it is the emotional consequence of everything that was left unspoken, everything that was felt but not expressed, everything that quietly remained between you even when communication paused. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now. Especially if you have been feeling that something is building beneath the surface, like a quiet pressure of truth that can no longer remain hidden forever. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because soulmate connections rarely disappear simply because words stopped for a while. When two people share a bond that carries emotional depth, the connection continues moving silently, guiding both individuals toward awareness that cannot be ignored once it becomes clear. Your silence may have done more than you realize. It may have created the exact emotional space needed for your soulmate to confront feelings they once avoided acknowledging. Sometimes constant communication can hide emotional truth because it allows distraction, but silence removes distraction and leaves only reflection. Reflection reveals importance. Reflection reveals attachment. Reflection reveals emotional meaning that becomes difficult to deny once fully understood. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Because something about your absence may have allowed your soulmate to recognize the emotional consistency you once offered, the understanding you once shared, the presence that once felt natural but now feels deeply missed. Listen to this. Because people often recognize the value of emotional safety only when they begin noticing the difference between connection and temporary attention. Temporary attention feels easy to replace, but genuine emotional presence feels rare once it is no longer constant. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what feels quiet on the outside may actually be creating powerful realization on the inside. Your soulmate may now be revisiting memories, reconsidering conversations, reevaluating the emotional meaning behind moments that once seemed simple. Small details often gain significance when emotional clarity begins forming. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often activate emotional growth when both individuals are given time to understand their feelings independently. Independent understanding creates stronger emotional honesty than explanations ever could. When someone reaches their own realization, the intention that follows often feels more sincere, more stable, more aligned with long-term clarity. Listen to this. Because the universe often allows emotional distance when something meaningful is being prepared differently than before. Sometimes situations pause so perspective can change. Sometimes silence appears so truth can become visible. Don't scroll, listen to this, because something within your soulmate may now be feeling the weight of unfinished emotional understanding, the quiet recognition that something meaningful should not remain unresolved. Unresolved emotions rarely disappear completely. They remain present until clarity replaces uncertainty. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because your decision to remain calm may have shifted the emotional balance in a way that encourages honest intention rather than temporary reaction. Reaction creates momentary movement, but intention creates lasting change. Listen to this. Because something about this connection may now be encouraging your soulmate to recognize that emotional bonds built on sincerity do not fade easily. They remain present, even during silence, even during distance, even during uncertainty. Don't scroll, listen to this, because awareness often appears when someone realizes that something meaningful cannot simply be replaced or forgotten. Emotional presence creates imprint, and imprint creates recognition that the connection carries deeper significance than surface-level interaction. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often evolve through moments where both individuals understand the importance of clarity rather than avoidance. Avoidance may delay conversation, but it rarely removes emotional truth. Truth remains present until it is acknowledged. Listen to this. Because something within your soulmate may now be understanding that silence did not mean indifference, silence meant emotional strength, emotional boundaries, emotional respect for the connection without forcing it. Don't scroll, listen to this, because emotional maturity often changes how someone approaches communication. When awareness grows, communication becomes more intentional. When intention becomes clear, actions often follow naturally. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because what is unfolding now may be guiding your soulmate toward recognizing the importance of expressing what has remained unspoken. Expression creates clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates movement that feels aligned rather than uncertain. Listen to this, because sometimes the unexpected action that follows silence is not sudden, it is prepared gradually through reflection that becomes impossible to ignore once emotional truth becomes visible. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the connection you feel may not have been paused, it may have been evolving into something more honest than before. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because emotional clarity often arrives when both individuals realize that something meaningful deserves understanding rather than confusion. Listen to this, because what happens next may reveal that your silence did not create distance. It created the awareness necessary for something real to finally move forward with sincerity. And when sincerity leads the connection, unexpected action often becomes the beginning of something more aligned than anything that could have happened earlier. What happens next may feel unexpected, not because the connection was never real, but because the timing is finally aligning in a way that allows honesty to replace hesitation, clarity to replace confusion, and intention to replace avoidance. Listen to this, because this message is for you. And your heart needs this right now, especially if part of you has sensed that something unfinished has been quietly waiting for the right moment to come forward. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because soulmate connections rarely dissolve without transformation, and what feels like distance often becomes the space where emotional truth grows strong enough to be expressed without fear. Your silence may have created the exact emotional shift needed for your soulmate to recognize that what existed between you was never casual, never temporary, never insignificant. Sometimes when emotional presence becomes less accessible, its value becomes more visible. Familiar comfort becomes meaningful when it is no longer constant. Emotional understanding becomes important when it is no longer easily available. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because something about your calm withdrawal may have encouraged your soulmate to reflect on what this connection truly represents beyond the surface level. Reflection often reveals feelings that distraction once kept hidden. Reflection often reveals attachment that pride once tried to minimize. Reflection often reveals emotional importance that logic alone could not fully explain. Listen to this, because emotional awareness rarely arrives all at once. It builds quietly through memories that feel different now, through conversations that suddenly feel more meaningful than they once seemed, through moments where something reminds them of you in ways that feel difficult to ignore. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because what feels quiet externally may be creating strong emotional recognition internally. Recognition creates understanding. Understanding creates acceptance. Acceptance often creates courage to act differently than before. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often reach a point where avoidance feels more uncomfortable than honesty. When honesty becomes easier than silence, communication often begins again with more sincerity than before. Listen to this, because something within your soulmate may now be realizing that emotional connection built on authenticity cannot simply be replaced or forgotten. Temporary distractions may exist, but genuine emotional alignment leaves a lasting impression that remains present even when communication pauses. Don't scroll, listen to this, because when someone begins recognizing the emotional importance of a connection, their perspective begins changing naturally. What once felt uncertain begins feeling valuable. What once felt unclear begins feeling meaningful. What once felt complicated begins feeling worth understanding rather than ignoring. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because emotional clarity often leads to unexpected intention. Intention often leads to unexpected communication. Communication often reveals emotional truth that creates new direction for the connection. Listen to this. Because sometimes the universe allows silence to remove emotional pressure so that genuine expression can appear without fear of immediate reaction. Expression becomes easier when understanding replaces defensiveness. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what is unfolding now may be guiding your soulmate toward recognizing that this connection carries significance that deserves honesty rather than avoidance. Honesty may not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrives calmly, clearly, naturally, in a way that feels aligned rather than forced. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because the emotional space created by silence often allows both individuals to see the connection more clearly than before. Clarity often removes assumptions. Clarity often reduces misunderstandings. Clarity often allows communication to feel more balanced and more intentional. Listen to this. Because soulmate connections often evolve when both individuals understand that meaningful bonds deserve sincerity, patience, and emotional respect. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what happens next may not feel chaotic or overwhelming. It may feel calm and genuine, like a natural step forward rather than a sudden reaction. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Because emotional truth often leads to action that feels more thoughtful than impulsive, more stable than temporary, more aligned than uncertain. Listen to this, because something about this connection may now be encouraging your soulmate to express what remained unspoken, to understand what remained unclear, to resolve what remained unfinished. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because the unexpected action that follows silence often carries deeper meaning than anything expressed during emotional urgency. Meaningful action often develops through reflection that cannot be rushed. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because what is about to happen may reveal why the connection has remained present in both hearts even during distance. Listen to this. Because emotional alignment often becomes visible when both individuals reach a point where understanding becomes more important than avoiding discomfort. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the connection you feel may not have been paused, it may have been quietly preparing for a moment where sincerity allows something real to finally move forward. And when sincerity leads the connection, what once felt uncertain often begins making sense in a way that feels peaceful rather than confusing, clear rather than complicated, aligned rather than accidental. Everything that has unfolded between you has been quietly guiding both hearts toward a moment of emotional honesty that could not have happened earlier, a moment where understanding becomes stronger than hesitation, where clarity becomes more comforting than avoidance, and where truth finally feels easier to express than silence. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now. Especially if you have been feeling that something meaningful is approaching, something that feels calm yet powerful, something that feels natural yet deeply important. Don't scroll, listen to this, because soulmate connections rarely end in confusion when both individuals are willing to grow beyond the versions of themselves that once reacted from fear instead of understanding. Growth changes perspective, and perspective changes intention. What once felt uncertain may now feel worth exploring honestly. What once felt complicated may now feel easier to communicate clearly. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because your silence did not weaken the connection, it strengthened the awareness within it. Silence removed emotional pressure, allowing sincerity to develop naturally. Silence allowed reflection that revealed what truly matters. Silence created space where emotional truth could become visible without distraction. Listen to this, because sometimes the strongest message is the one that does not need to be repeated constantly. Sometimes the deepest presence is the one that does not need to chase recognition. Emotional strength often appears quiet, but its impact is powerful because it encourages respect rather than resistance. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because something within your soulmate may now be recognizing that the connection deserves honesty rather than uncertainty. Recognition often leads to appreciation. Appreciation often leads to intention. Intention often leads to action that feels more genuine than anything motivated by urgency. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because soulmate connections often evolve when both individuals reach a point where emotional clarity becomes more important than protecting ego. Ego creates distance, but emotional awareness creates understanding that allows communication to feel sincere instead of defensive. Listen to this, because what is approaching may not feel dramatic, it may feel natural, like something that was always meant to happen once both hearts understood what the connection truly represents. Don't scroll, listen to this, because sometimes the most unexpected actions come from realizations that feel simple but deeply meaningful. Realization that the connection still matters. Realization that silence did not erase emotional presence. Realization that something valuable deserves clarity instead of confusion. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because emotional alignment often leads to communication that feels calm yet honest, gentle yet meaningful, clear yet deeply felt. When both individuals understand the importance of sincerity, the connection begins moving in a direction that feels balanced rather than uncertain. Listen to this, because soulmate connections often reveal their purpose when both people are ready to communicate without fear of losing each other. Fear creates hesitation, but trust creates openness that allows emotional truth to be expressed naturally. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because the journey you have experienced was never meant to leave everything unresolved. It was meant to guide both of you toward awareness strong enough to create understanding that feels mutual instead of one-sided. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because what happens next may feel surprising only because it arrives with emotional clarity rather than emotional confusion. Clarity often feels peaceful because it removes the need to guess what the connection means. Listen to this, because the connection you feel has continued existing quietly even during silence, even during distance, even during uncertainty. Emotional bonds built on sincerity rarely disappear without transformation. They evolve until both individuals are ready to understand what the connection truly represents beyond temporary circumstances. Don't scroll, listen to this. Because what is unfolding now may finally reveal why this connection has remained present in your awareness despite everything that has happened. Some connections leave quietly, but meaningful connections ask to be understood before they release or before they grow stronger. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because emotional truth often appears when both individuals recognize that something valuable should not remain misunderstood. Understanding creates peace. Peace creates direction. Direction creates movement that feels aligned rather than forced. Listen to this, because the unexpected action approaching may not feel confusing, it may feel reassuring, like something finally makes sense in a way it did not before. Don't scroll, listen to this, because sometimes the universe allows silence to become the chapter where both souls learn how important the connection truly is. Importance creates intention. Intention creates effort. Effort creates clarity that allows both hearts to move forward with confidence rather than doubt. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because everything that has happened between you has been guiding both of you toward a moment where honesty feels natural and understanding feels mutual. Listen to this, because what is about to unfold may show you that silence was never meant to create distance, it was meant to create awareness strong enough to bring truth to the surface. And when truth finally becomes visible, the connection often begins moving in a direction that feels peaceful, genuine, and aligned with what both hearts needed in order to understand the meaning of this journey.